tip that I would like to share with you to grow strong seedlings is to drop the seedling in. Ground, then the base. Our petunias have been growing very strong in the basement, and now is the perfect time to move them outside, to train them to be outside so they can bloom beautifully in summer. And today is such a perfect day because it's cloudy, there's no strong sunlight, there's no strong wind. The temperature is, still cold, like 40 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit, but this petunia can handle cooler temperature. To harden off petunia, you can find a spot around your house that get a little protection like this little courtyard, or you can place the tray like next to the house because the house will protect them from wind and also will give them a little additional warmth to, to make sure that they have a smooth transition from indoor to outdoor. A couple weeks ago, I brought some my seed in this 10-20 inch tray. That's because it is the fastest way to sow seed and it's the simplest way. But here is the consequence. Now it's time to prick them. Prick means you take out the seedlings and then separate them and then give them more soil and more room. And when do I know to prick them? It's when I start seeing that they're growing slower than before, or when I see that they get too crowded, like too, growing into each other. So I technically going to use my chopsticks. Actually, you can use anything that you can find from your kitchen, but chopstick and my fingers are my most favorite assistant because they have this pointy, sticky thing that I can just push it underneath the soil and then lift up the soil like this. You can also use fork too, but I stopped using fork because I tend to lose them all the time, either in my basement or in my garden or in my compost pile. But I get this chopstick from Chinese to-go restaurant or sushi restaurant, and it's free. And if I forget this in my garden or in my compost pile, it's totally fine. They are going to become fertilizer later. After I lift the seedling like this, okay, I just gently separate them. The night before doing this, I just water this tray and let my seedling be fully hydrated. Just like before we getting surgery, we need to get the, how can you call it, like the liquid into your body first. That's the doctor gives to you. And seedlings, the same thing. You have to make sure that they are fully hydrated. And you don't want to separate them when the soil is too wet too, because wet soil is heavy and it can hurt the roots of your babies. Okay, you want to let the soil dry a little bit, but not too dry, just like moist like this. And then you can separate the seedling easily and the seedling are not going to be hurt. You also don't want you to press your seedling like this to the soil. No, don't do that, okay? Don't do this because it will hurt the roots. You want the soil in the new tray to be loose and moist but not damp. And then you just, make a hole like this. Then just drop the seedling in. Then gently, push, not push, not too hard, just like gently push, the soil around the seedling like that. Just hug them, okay? There will be some baby that got hurt during the process. So I'm not saving this because I already have enough seedlings, so they're going to bye-bye. I also like to sprinkle more soil on top of the babies, just a little bit like this, to make sure that the whole plant attached to the soil. And try not to touch the stem. You can hurt the leaves, but the stem cannot grow back. For something like this, I kinda know that this guy not gonna make it, so I'm gonna just plant them together like this, and eventually I will thin this one out. And eventually I will thin this one out if they survive. Sometimes the seedling just come out alone like this, which is so perfect. Just put it in like that. Another one that come out alone. Put it in. You can plug them in a cell tray like this, which is going to be a little bit easier for you to transplant later. So I'm gonna reuse this soil. I'm gonna put new soil on the top just to give them extra nutrient. Then tap a little bit. Again, hold them by the leaves, not the stem, because the stem cannot grow back. Then drop it in. I'm gonna give this cell tray to the student club that I supervise. Now gently water them, and the water is the glue that will glue the roots to the soil, which is very important. You want to make sure that the root attached to the soil so they can absorb the water. Some of them gonna sink like this. So what you do, you kind of hold the leaf with the chopstick and then water it again. There you go. Now this one. Okay. Now this one. So some of them might not make it, which is totally okay because I already ran out of room. Here we go. I'm gonna use spray to clean off the dirt from the leaves. This one gonna be easier because they are bigger. So I'm gonna hold the leaf and then water it. This tray doesn't have drainage hole at all, and majority of my tray don't have drainage hole, and that's because it's going to be too messy, you know, to have water run down from the tray while I am sitting here. Yeah, I just don't like that. And some people said, Crane, why don't you just put saucer underneath your tray? I don't want to do that because I don't want to clean the saucer. And why I have to clean the saucer and the tray every time, because I am trying to avoid these seeds. And these seeds, they are not cheap, okay, because I go specialty cut flower variety, and yeah, they are expensive. It's not worth, you know, fail on my seedlings. And also the potting mix, they are not cheap too. The second advantage is that when you water the seedling, okay, the water will not drain from the tray, right? The whatever fertilizer that is already in this potting mix, or the nutrient that is in this potting mix will not drain with the water. It will just sit at the bottom of the tray here, and that's why my seedlings are doing so much better than yours. I'm just kidding. It just, you know, some of the viewers share that with me that my seedling look healthy. I think this is one of the reasons, but yeah, I'm just kidding. And okay, so now here's the cons. The cons is that you can potentially overwater these babies. And but you know, I learned to manage this pretty effectively because I kinda tell, you know, if the tray getting heavy, then I just stop watering them. And if I accidentally overwater them, I just, you know, rinse out the water from the side of the tray like this. But again, when I move this baby outside to train them, to harden them off, then I put, you know, on the table outside, there will be some days that I get rainstorm and I forgot to bring them underneath the roof or bring them inside, then they will get flooded with water. But as soon as I rinse the water off and let them dry, they are going to be fine. Yeah, but that's the disadvantage of doing this. One thing that I like about gardening is that there's no best way and worst way for everyone. That means my best way doesn't mean that it's going to be your best way. Okay, but if you want to try doing this, give it a try. Try with the seedlings or with the flowers that very easy to grow. Something like lettuce, something that doesn't mind to be transplanted, and then see how it goes. And if you have success with this like me, you are going to have less trays to clean. And your seedling will have a lot of nutrient sitting underneath the tray. Now I have the room here. I'm gonna backfill with soil. And I'm gonna take this out.
Last night you caught my eye, so fly, oh my, I've been thinking about you all night, I can't get you off my mind. I'm out on deep water, it's too late, I've crossed the border, I'm bitten hard by Cupid, babe, hurry, I need to be safe, hurry with all the cliches. Sunny days, you and me, we'll keep out of the rain. Try me on any direction, I'll follow you. Don't wanna wait another day.
I used the exact same approach with my pansies. And about a week ago, I transplanted majority of my pansy young plants into the planters. And these are the leftover that because they germinated a little slower than their friends. So I prick them out. I give them more soil. I give them more space. I give the whole tray to them. And just a week later, they grow so much, a lot faster. I'm gonna top dress them a little bit to stop this algae. The reason why, because algae need light to grow. So when I cover it with this dry potting mix, they're going to block the sunlight from the algae, and then the algae gonna die. And this will also add some more nutrient and medium to these babies, and they're going to grow a little faster. And I am not going to water this. I'm going to let the surface dry first to treat the algae. This seems to be a lot of work and require a lot of concentration, and somehow, can be like anxious, like nervous, when you pull the babies apart from each other. But at the same time, it's somehow relaxing. And also, I don't have to use this, plastic cell tray, which can hurt my hand and very difficult to clean. And I also, hate to use plastic too. And yeah, I just don't like plastic in my garden because they look ugly. And some of you guys might say, Crane, why don't you use soil blocking? Yes, I do use soil blocking, but I use for the flowers that hate to be disturbed, okay? Something like delphinium, like zinnias. But again, soil blocking, you have to take a lot of time to make the block to start, right? And then you have to put the seed on each block, right? That takes a lot of time too. And some block will not have germination, and you kind of waste that block. Although I reuse that, soil for something else. But doing this broad sow and pricking, I don't waste my soil at all. You already see that. And also the soil blocking can, if you sow more than one seed per block, then you have to thin them out. You can't really separate the seed that grow in the same block. That's kind of con of the soil blocking. But it's a good option for something else like zinnias, you know. It's time to transplant our status into their forever home.
Ask him to stay. And I will clear the way. I've been thinking about you all night. I can't get you off my mind. I can't get you off my mind. I can't get you off my mind. I can't get you off my mind.
I brought this status into this tray, just all status, and I did not even prick them out. I did not transplant them into new tray like petunia, like pansies. I just transplant them right in the garden because I know that they are very hardy and they are going to do just okay. Because I have low germination rate, so the seedlings, you know, they already have space between each other. That's why I didn't prick them out. And now I'm going to just, you know, put them here. I till the soil because I want to give them extra assistance for the root to, you know, grow faster because they are so tiny. They need a lot of help. You can see the soil here is very fluffy. Statice is one of my most favorite flowers because they are such a nice touch to any bouquet that I make, like the little pop of color here and there, you know, between each other flowers in my bouquet, just make my bouquet so whimsical. And also they are such a great dry flowers. The color remain vibrant like that forever if you dry them in the dark, you know, like outside from the sun. Also, if I add status in my bouquet, they will make my bouquet vibrant for a long time. For instance, if I add status with the dahlias, with the zinnias, and when the dahlias and zinnia start dying, they will lose color. But status will remain the color and will make the bouquet looks like long lasting, you know, although the other flowers start dying. I'm gonna use this leftover potting mix to, you know, sprinkle on top of the babies, just like what I did with the tray that I put under the grow light. And put the leaves on top of the soil a little bit, just to retain moisture. The temperature this month is going to be around 40 to 60, and there will be some nights that it dropped like to 30 degrees Fahrenheit. But that is totally okay because status can handle light frost as long as it's not a prolonged frost, like, you know, 30 degrees for 5 days. That's not gonna happen. But if it really happen, I am going to come here and protect them with winter cloth. It's like a fabric, you know, to protect them for that cold period. But I don't think this is gonna happen. I also forget to tell you that I have already hardening of these babies outside for like a week or maybe 10 days. And there are some nights that the temperature is like 30 degrees Fahrenheit and they seem to do fine outside. So don't worry about them. They are strong and I technically cover with a lot of leaves here. They're gonna be fine. They're gonna come through the leaves and come through the soil and they're gonna bloom beautifully in summer.
Suddenly, the world I used to know, I see it differently. You woke me from a dream, now here's reality. Baby, baby, you are really hurting me. 'Cause every time you tell me I look good and that I'm doing
It has been only 5 days and our babies are growing like crazy. So I am going to move them in the greenhouse to train them to be outside.
I know you played your part, but baby, it's breaking my heart. How could I know?
The scabiosa are growing so big. Holy smoke bush. Look at them. Oh my goodness. The Canterbury Bell too. 5 days ago, all of them were like this big. Now it's like this big. And that the coreopsis. Now you can't even recognize them. Goodness. Petunia. Holy moly. I can't believe they are blooming in the seedling tray. I am very excited about this spellbound pink specialty petunia. They are so big. They're gonna be like very special. The Lysianthus grow so big too after I give them a little bit of liquid fertilizer. Look at that. I left them in a rainstorm the other day and the soil has covered the babies. Like the whole tray flooded. Oh, I'm sorry. Also get algae because, it's too wet. So yeah, you can give your baby a little bit of liquid fertilizer to make them bigger, to make them stronger. I use the synthetic fertilizer because I have it for 2 or 3 years already. Somebody gave to me, I rarely use it. I don't pour any kind of synthetic fertilizer in my garden because that's bad for the microorganism in the soil. But I use it for my seedling from time to time. And these Lysianthus, the potting mix already ran out of nutrient. They need something. And it works. And if you are going to buy liquid fertilizer for your seedling, maybe, try something organic instead, like fish emulsion or maybe Epsoma organic fertilizer, that works too. They are a little bit smelly, but if you already have some synthetic liquid fertilizer, you can use it a little bit too. Anything at a moderate level is okay, I think. One more thing. If you already use potting mix that have a lot of fertilizer in it, be careful because you can burn your seedling by over fertilizing. So, only fertilize when your babies are really struggling to grow or they don't grow for a long time like my Lysianthus. Okay. Another tip to make your babies grow faster and stronger is to give them rainwater. Rainwater is the best organic liquid fertilizer that you can give to your babies. These Statice that I transplanted the other day with you guys, 5 days ago, they grow so fast because it has been raining for 2 days and because of the organic fertilizer I put here, because of the compost, they are just so happy to be outside. And that leads to the next tip is to let Mother Nature help taking care of your babies. I know it's a little chilly, it's still a little cold, for a lot of plants to be outside, but there are a lot of plants too that enjoy being outside although it's a little cold. Something like I just show you the petunia, pansies, statice, right, scabiosa, and I also planted out lupin, delphinium, or the perennial flowers. Also cilantro that I transplanted the other day. They are super happy to be in my unheated greenhouse instead of in the basement. Sweet pea are super happy too with this temperature. Look at this one. He's already have mustache. So cute. The poppies that I transplanted the other day are so big too outside. And that's the lupin. Also snapdragon. They're so happy to be outside and be in the ground. Because seedlings, they are just like us, they would enjoy fresh air. Although they are not allergic to pollens, they also enjoy fresh water, rainwater. They also enjoy to have more space too. So whenever they are ready to be transplanted, just transplant them. But don't forget to hardening them off outside a little bit first by, putting them by a protected area that I already mentioned before. These 4 lupins, I started them the same time, but I picked one of them and transplant them in this planter. And you can see here that the one that I give them more room, more space, and more nutrient, they grow so much faster than the one that I leave them in the pot. Also, the baby lettuce that have more space grow so much bigger than the babies that have less space or crowded. However, there are seedlings that don't want to be outside if the temperature outside is still too cold. Something like zinnia, basil, marigold, sunflowers, all kind of the heat-loving plants and flowers. You wanna leave them inside for a little bit longer so you don't kill them. So I know it's tricky, but you have to do a little research. You have to understand each of your babies because they are different, they prefer different things. And the last tip that I would like to share with you to grow strong seedlings is to give them enough light. If you grow them under the grow light, make sure you place the tray very, very close to the light, as close as possible, because they really need the light to grow. Especially, it's artificial light. It's not strong, it's never strong enough for them. And when you bring them out to harden them off, give them maybe like half day sunlight, or bring them out in a cloudy day that I mentioned before, because they can get shocked, because the grow light is kind of soft, but sunlight is very strong. And then 5 or 7 days later, you can give them more sun, like little by little, before you transplant them, so they don't get shocked and they don't get burned. And that's all I want to share with you in this video. I hope you have beautiful, strong, big seedlings, and you can get to transplant them soon and have beautiful flowers in summer. Alright, I'll see you again in the next video. Bye bye.